Internet, how are we doing? How are we doing? I am Sean with the Jason Silver Epilepsy Awareness Foundation. Today I have a very special guest joining me. He is Jinx from Blackfell Brides.
Hey
How are
everybody,
you doing, sir?
doing all right. How's everybody?
How is everybody doing in our chat over here? Does it show you the comments over there on the right?
Yep, I got the comments up. All
Cool,
right.
cool, cool,
Hi Crystal, hi Esther, Lacey, Aiden, Caleb, Rhonda.
cool.
Good to see you
Awesome.
guys.
All right, so there's a an elephant in the room that Blackfell Brides decided to drop a teaser on us today. Uh, it resembled one of your old guitars too.
Yeah. Well,
So
I don't know. Yep. Don't know what that is. It's I don't know, it's a mystery. We'll just have to find out.
so so we're here. But we're not here to talk about that.
Hmm.
Um, so last time you talked about your battle with epilepsy publicly was 2021 with Epsy.com.
Mhm. Yep.
And up to that point, you had been seizure free.
Yes. And I have been since then as well. So
Awesome,
I'm
awesome.
happy to say. Yep. I've been
That
seizure
is
free since August of 2019.
that is fantastic to hear.
Yep.
That is fantastic to hear. So let's get started with your battle with epilepsy. How you found out, um, when you really decided that you needed to take care of it, and um,
Yep.
things like
S-
that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's go way back to my birth. I had not my birth per se, but my I had a fever seizure at the age of 1, and was rushed to the hospital. I was convulsing, and my mom's freaking out, and they put me on some medication. It was probably the phenobarbital or something at that time, but they said, well, it's still too early to diagnose that it's epilepsy or anything. They saw that there was actually some epilepsy in my family on both sides, my mom's mom and my dad's mom, and but they're like, well, it's still too early to, you don't diagnose an infant. I mean, at least in my case, they were, said, well, let's just see what happens. Let's after this, and I never had a seizure since until I was 27. So we just thought, okay, yeah, I don't have epilepsy. Went through my whole life until I was 27, and this was in 2008, and I was playing at the Whiskey A Go Go in Hollywood with my old band, The Dreaming, and we were on stage, and we had these light boxes that I actually helped my singer build that I was standing on, and I was playing a guitar solo, and the light boxes had strobe lights in them. Cool effect, right? Well, not thinking I had epilepsy, not even a thought in my mind that I had epilepsy. Well, we get to almost the end of the show, and I'm playing a guitar solo, and 1 minute I remember playing guitar solo, and the next minute I'm waking up in Cedars-Sinai Hospital with a phone on my chest, and just like, what happened, and of course I found out what happened, and little flashes of like my memory came back, but basically what happened was I had a grand mal on stage, right? It was triggered by the strobe lights, and yeah, I had little flashes of being on the floor of the stage of the Whiskey. They had to cut my guitar strap off of me because I was just stiff and just, convulsing, and the whole audience was freaking out. It was a packed house, um, and they had the lights on. The ambulance backed up to the stage door and took me away. And anyway, long story short, that's the first time. And I at that point too. I don't think they were going to diagnose me with epilepsy. They, it's like, well, triggered by strobe lights. You were probably exhausted. You didn't get enough sleep the night before. You were stressed out about the show and nervous about performing. And like, no, I performed a lot. I wasn't really that nervous, but it's a number of factors that they say, well, it could be that. We're not going to diagnose you, but we're going to put you on Dilantin. And they put me on Dilantin, and I took that at home, and I was on that for a while. But I don't know, I didn't really take it seriously then. And then I started just kind of having mild seizures, not necessarily triggered by anything. It was maybe stress or just not malnutrition. I was, starving musician at the time. I was surviving off of ramen and and not
Yep.
getting enough sleep. No, just a number of factors, and not really living healthy wise. And I'm sure all of that contributed to it. And I would start having these mild seizures, and then they just began to get worse. And I think by about 2000, well, so we'd started doing Black Veil Brides in 2009. And I think by then I was just accepting the fact that I did have it, but I didn't want to go to a doctor. And it was in, let's see, 2013. So I went for a few years touring the world. And, I'd have like little like episodes, but I was just trying to keep it hidden from my bandmates, from everybody. And my girlfriend at the time knew I had it, but just we didn't really take it seriously, and I was just kind of refused to see a doctor. It wasn't until 2013, and we were at the Golden Gods Awards, and I couldn't even make it to the stage. I had a grand mal seizure the night before. We had just flown home from, I think, European tour. I was dealing with a lot of stress at the time. I was dealing with the breakup, and my house was being sold, and I had to come home to people like going through my things, and it was just a lot of stress. And luckily I had a friend over, and it was the night before the Golden Gods Awards, and I had a grand mal. Just she found me on the floor and called the ambulance, and I went to the hospital, and they were just like, okay, well, you need to take it easy tomorrow. And I was just like, no, I've got this award show I've got to get to. I'm sure we're up for all these awards, and but I couldn't even make it to stage. And after that, it was like I had to get some help, and I went and saw a doctor, and he put me on lamotrigine. He was a really good doctor, and I was on that for a while, and then we went back out on the road again. We did Warped Tour, and I was fine on that. I was able to find the problem was it was kind of a new drug at the time, and it wasn't easy to get everywhere. And when you're on the road, it's not so easy to get to a pharmacy that has it. And then we were about to do another European tour or something, but it was just like it was impossible to get it. And I had to wean myself off it. And then I just went without medicine for a number of years after that. It wasn't until 2015, and we came back from the European tour then, and my now wife, she was with me, and she knew, and she knew she had experienced me having episodes, and she, we got to a point. She was like, "You need to see a doctor. I can't deal with this. We need to get you some help." And so I started seeing a doctor. And at the time, I didn't really have the greatest insurance, so I was seeing this kind of like strip mall farm. I didn't realize at the time, but a pharma mill doctor. And I told him that my history. I told him that I had been put on Lamictal, and it worked. It was working. And he just ignored that, and he was like, "No, we're going to put you on Keppra." And Sean, you and I were talking about this a little before we went live, but and it was super strong, and it like you put me on the maximum dosage of it, and it just was horrible. It made the seizures worse, and they got tremendously worse. And then I went to him like, "This is terrible. Take me off this." He's like, "Well, we're going to ease you off this and put you on Topamax." And there's all these side effects. He tells me, I'm like, "Well, it sounds terrible, And why don't you just try Lamictal?" No, your epilepsy is way too bad for that. I'm like, okay. So he puts me on Topamax, and I'm like weaning off the one and going on the other. And we're in the studio doing BVB5, and I forgot how to play guitar. I couldn't do the one thing that I've known how to do since I was like 2 years old. And it's like, and this doctor was terrible. I just weaned myself off of everything, stopped seeing that doctor, and I just went without for another couple of years. And the seizures came back, and they were just worse than ever. And it got to be 2019, and my wife, we got married in 2016, had our wedding in 2018, and they were getting bad again, and finally the last straw, she's like, I'm going to find you a good doctor. We found me a really good doctor at UCLA, and I told her my history, and she's like, well, why don't we try the Lamictal again? I'm like, yeah, please. And I literally cried in her office, like, you know and ever since then, August of 2019, I haven't had a single seizure. So Lamictal did work for me, and I had a doctor. It took getting a doctor that finally listened to me. Um, but anyway, that's it. And once I was about 3 months seizure free, I was finally comfortable enough to go public. Because, well, here's the thing I want to talk about is having epilepsy it's such a it, I don't know about others, but to me, it was very embarrassing to share with, especially when you're going through it. And you feel embarrassed when you have an episode, or you feel like there's so much wrong with you. It's embarrassing, and then also like people think that you're drunk all the time, and it's just like it's to me it was very embarrassing, and I didn't want to stop me from doing the things that I wanted to do. But it took me, I think, sharing my story finally in 2019 and realizing, I've been doing what I wanted to do my whole life, and I didn't let it stop me. Um, but it did take me finally like being honest with myself and honest with doctors, and just accepting that I have this disease for life, and it is what it is. And once I was able to accept that and be okay with it, then I felt stronger, and here I am. Anyway, I'm meandering, but I digress. This is but that's basically my story. And here I am, and I'm still doing what I love to do, and I'm not letting it stop me. Um,
And that's what this is all about. I mean, it just because it's a disability doesn't mean it's an inability and you're incapable.
right.
And as far as Capra, like I was telling you earlier, I had the exact same experience with it. I mean, last week I had 2 in 1 day on Capra. Like
Yeah.
it's Capra, in my opinion, is a very, very scary thing to have any sort of experience with.
Yeah.
Um, so with touring a lot and the stresses of it, obviously, it's a lot like wrestling. Wrestling, you tour, you're putting your body through a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings.
Yep.
What would you say your biggest struggle in terms of preventing an episode is on tour?
Yeah, a lot of it was just getting enough rest, which is, like you say, it's almost next to impossible. You have these late nights, and but I would try to work it out where I try to get as much rest during the day, and I still do this to this day. If we're playing a late show, and it'll be, it takes a while to wind down too after you play a show with the adrenaline rush. I mean, that's just part of it too. You have all these highs and lows, and that's why so many touring musicians deal with depression as well, and a lot of psychological issues. But it really affected with the epilepsy, just not getting enough rest, and it's huge. It's huge. So on tour now, I just make sure if I have to take naps through the day to try and catch up, it's really hard to. It's hard to stay on a consistent uh, routine, which routine is very important too. And but yeah, with the traveling, sometimes there was one year, and this is where I started having major problems. Is we were just zigzagging across the world. We were in Europe to Japan, back to Russia, I think, and then South America, and then U.S. And it was just like all over the place, and
Right.
that really messed me up. And I think that was 2015, and that's when it was like, okay, I need to get some help, and got the wrong help then. But yeah, it's a lot. I think it's a lot of it's eating right, getting enough rest, which it's really hard to do when you're on the road. Yeah, and it's physically straining as well. Running around on stage for an hour and a half, and you're putting your body through a lot. I feel pretty beat up, especially the older I get. So it's like, man, I can't do this quite like I used to in my 20s. I'm 42 now, so yeah.
So, moving on from preventing, well, from venting off the stage, what precautions do the band as a whole take on the stage to help you?
So Andy, our singer, is really good about running through the lights with our. If we get a new LD lighting director, he's got to know right off the bat that I have epilepsy, um, and especially for using an in-house guy too. It's just we have to just make sure that's number one. No strobe lights, or at least not. Like I just kind of have to walk him through what's acceptable for me because as long as I take my medication, I seem to be okay, but strobe lights still bother me. And even my bandmates say, you know, strobe lights bother me too. So I know it's a cool effect or whatever, but, and also I'm worried about fans in the audience. You know, it's like the last thing I'd want is for somebody to go down because of our light show. So that's usually the number one thing, and my bandmates are well aware, and they know what to do. They've seen me have a seizure on stage. I had one in Chile that was kind of scary, and they just know to they know the signs. You know, if they see my eyes kind of just in a dead stare, you know, we're all kind of in our own heads when we're on stage, but we do kind of check on each other, and if somebody's not looking right or whatever, then you know we're well aware, and we do what we need to do if we need to stop the show. So they know, but they know the signs, especially if I go down, what to do. Everyone's well aware and very supportive of me. So, but yeah, the number one thing is making sure the lights are, you know, not too stroby. It's a huge one. So, and then yeah, just basically being prepared in case anything does happen.
Right. Whenever we were talking about the struggles on tour, you mentioned preparing food and dieting. How do you go about that? Do you how do I phrase this? Do you go out and grocery shop? I mean, you know, it's kind of hard to do with the bus and
Yeah, so that's it's where the difficulty lies. A lot of times we'll just have food orders that we send in because of our schedule. We'll just have somebody like a runner go out and get us food from somewhere. Well, oftentimes that ends up just being like fast food because of we're somewhere in Kentucky or whatever, and that's all there is. Or we'll be in and we'll try to find healthy options if we can, but sometimes it's really difficult depending on where you are. And then after show it's like everyone just wants pizza or something, you know. But yeah, but some of us, you know, I try to stock up on decent groceries, but it's hard sometimes because you know, like you get like a Walmart stop maybe once a week or so, and you just try to stock up, but there's like 14 people on a tour bus, and you know there's not a lot of places to put food for everyone, you know. So you're all sharing a fridge, and you're all so you do what you can, and but yeah, it's hard. It's hard, especially when you come off stage and you're just starving, and you're like, I just got to have that pizza, you know. So
right.
and you end up eating at 2 a.m. your dinner, and it's, you know, it's just not healthy. It's not a healthy existence anyway for anybody. But it is tricky, and you know it. If you do really work at it, you can, as long as you stock up on groceries and you like just have a means to prepare them. So a lot of times venues will have, you know, whether it's just a microwave or something, a way to prepare food. The buses will have a microwave too, but it's like it's not like at home where like I eat so healthy at home, but then when I'm on the road, it's just like it's easier to just order food, and yeah, um, especially when you're on that kind of schedule.
Realistically, how is epilepsy coming out about your battle with epilepsy as a whole affected your career, be it positively, negatively? Does it make you feel like maybe you're closer with the Black Veil fan base, or
Absolutely. You know, like I say, I was so scared to tell anyone. It's like even telling people close to me. Obviously, you know, my relationships and my, you know, my family, they all knew that I had it. And but even like you know, even my bandmates, I was kind of scared to even be like open about it because it's like, oh, what if, you know, they want to kick me out of the band because it's a problem or something. You know, it's just like you have these thoughts, and even though they're maybe not even sane thoughts, but it's just like that's just how you feel. You're like, man, I don't. This is a horrible stigma, a horrible thing that I have, And I don't want to feel, I feel different as it is. I've felt different my whole life, just being, who I am, and kind of a bit of an introvert. And and I didn't really fit in at school and everything. But once I got past all of that, I still have those feelings where I just share certain things, um, and that, just, it's a huge, huge thing. But once I finally just said, okay, I'm going to come out about this, I'm going to come clean to the world, and in 2019, what a relief that was! What huge, just off my chest, off shoulders. And the BVB army were, our fans were just so supportive. Like I couldn't believe the amount of positivity I got back, and the people sharing, and all the people that say I have epilepsy too, and just coming out themselves, and that they were afraid to share. And it's just all of a sudden this community that I didn't even realize existed just opened up. And that's a great thing about our fan base. Everyone does look out for each other, but I was just overwhelmed by all the positivity, and it was the best thing I could have done. And I wish I'd done it earlier, but I was afraid, but just coming out with it, like I've just felt so much more positive about myself and dealing with this. And I realized that all these years, like, even though it's something I've had to deal with, I never ever let it stop me from doing what I wanted to do. And now that I have the support, I feel so much better about myself and so much more confident.
Yeah, and in my own personal experience, Justin, I told you about the last going on 3 months. Um, I've opened up more to some of the wrestling people that I'm associated with about my own battle with epilepsy, which in in my own life I've also been secluded about it. Um, and I've found out a lot of people, some people that I've been around quite a bit of my life. I had epilepsy as well, and I never knew it. In the last, I'd say, 3 months or so, I've met other people that are also in the wrestling business or in the music business as well, that also have epilepsy and deal with the same things that we deal with. And the positivity that I've received from it as well is just astounding.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And it's, what I would say to anybody who has reservations, or who may be watching this and is just quietly, like they have it and they're afraid to come out about it. Don't be afraid. I know it's scary. It's a scary thing to have, especially the unknowing, and especially if, you're trying different medications, or you're not even trying medications and you just don't know what to do. First of all, try to find a good doctor if you can. And just keep trying different medications until you find what works for you. But the biggest thing is just opening up about it, just being honest with yourself and with others, just being able to accept that you have this thing for the rest of your life. It's scary, and it's hard to do, but it's the best thing for you, and you're gonna feel so much better, and it's going to help you. And to get over that hurdle, it's huge. So I highly recommend, anyone watching this who's afraid to talk about it, please just open up, just talk to somebody about it, let it out.
Hey guys, we got an advertisement real quick. We will be right back.
Hey guys, this is Sean.
This is the Stray Dog 50 caliber Barrett Brown.
I hope y'all are enjoying this conversation with Jinx. We have partnered with Cure Epilepsy to bring you our next live stream on July 9th, which will be a weighted squat challenge benefiting Cure Epilepsy and their causes. To find out more, go to our Facebook page at the end of this live stream with Jinx, and we will have more information and a link down below.
Hey guys.
Cool, we're back. So as y'all saw on July 9th, myself and my trainer, Barrett Brown, will be doing another fitness challenge. Back in March on Purple Day, we did a 25-mile walk without stopping. For those watching that don't know, on our Facebook page, you can find at all the live videos and pictures from that throughout our page.
Awesome.
Uh, back to our conversation, Jinx. What are some things that you might do to prepare for tour or transition back into home life to prevent from having an episode?
Yeah, that's I mean it's tough. It's tough anyway, just mentally to prepare yourself for tour and to prepare yourself for transit. That's a really good question. Transitioning back to into home life because it's such a different world both ways. Well, first thing I do to prepare for tour is make sure I have enough medication to last me because I'll run it through my doctor. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be gone for 3 months and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get my medication where I'm going. So let's make sure I've got a 3 month supply, make sure I have enough for when I come back for at least a week. That's number one, making sure I have enough medication. Um, number two, like just mentally preparing for tour. There's like a few things that we do. I mean, we'll rehearse for a week because stress is also a huge factor, a trigger, of course. And um, I'll get a lot of anxiety, and even still, all these years I've been touring for 20 years, I still get anxiety even before going on a show, going to play a show on stage. But before going on tour, we'll all share in the band. We're like, okay, did you have anxiety dreams about tour? And oh, sorry, that was my 2-year-old. 1 second, guys. All right. And but yeah, no, so we'll rehearse for about a week, and but we'll all have these dreams where say for instance, I'm about to go on stage and our intro tape's playing, and all the strings fall off my guitar, and we're like, oh, or I'll be somewhere else, and I hear the intro music playing, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot we're playing a show. It's like all these crazy dreams. So it's like there's this stress and this underlying anxiety that you have that it just kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere, but it's just like the impending, like, oh man, I'm going to be leaving home. And especially now, I've got a wife and a 2-year-old son, and it's especially harder for me to leave them behind and for long periods of time. So I try to spend as much time as I can with them, and that's very important. Being around loved ones and spending good quality time, and then just kind of mentally preparing myself, being it's okay that I'm going to be away and I'm going to be doing what I love, and of course playing shows and feeding back that energy back and forth between the audience is very powerful. And knowing that with all the rigors of touring, with the stress of traveling from one place to the next every day, and not getting the kind of rest that you get at home, yeah, you just kind of have to adapt. You adapt to tour life, and I mean the good news is I'm so used to it. I've been doing this for a long time, and I know what to expect. So, but then, yeah, let's see. So after you're out for a while, that's okay. Then that gets there was a period where I had a huge problem with transitioning back into home life afterwards. I think a lot of it lay in the issue that my home life wasn't the greatest. Like now I love my family. I love where I live, and I'm very happy with where I'm at in life. And coming home is like a huge reward for doing a tour. But for a while, it was hard for me to come home because it was actually like I felt better on the road playing shows and feeling like somebody, and then I'd come home and feel like nobody, and it was those highs and lows that you feel, and you often hear from touring musicians where it's like so I got a period where I had anxiety. I had agoraphobia where I didn't even want to go outside of my house to go shopping, and just grocery shop. Like I was just afraid to even leave my bedroom. And so that was a weird way to transition. But like I say, right now I have a great support system. I have my wife, I have my son who just loves me, and so it makes it a lot easier these days. But again, it's still an adjustment. I think I need about a day or two to kind of just like let it soak in, and I'm finally home, because the euphoria of just feeling like so happy everything comes flooding back. I'm not on a tour bus with 14 people, smelly tour bus and, you know, traveling and not, you know, every night and waking up in a different city. I'm home in my own bed, and it's just a huge thing. But you have to kind of take it slowly. It's all about, you know, deep breaths and just decompressing, and a lot of it too is just trying to get a handle on your anxiety, and, you know, just sometimes just breathing, going for a walk, trying to put your mind at ease. And that's huge, because all of this weighs heavy on your minds. You know, the whole act of going out and the whole act of coming home, because it's just such a different world. Hope that answered your question. But yeah.
Oh yes, it did. I mean, I've heard actually one aspect of that from several wrestlers I've talked to over the years. The part about going out, you know, feeling the highs and then coming home and just, you know, feeling the lows and not wanting to go out and do anything just because, you know, you feel like somebody when you're, you know, out there, and then you feel like nobody when you're at home.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely.
Yeah. Things are different for me now, you know, because I am somebody when I'm home, you know. So,
right.
But not that anybody's nobody when they're, you know, in a different setting. But yeah. But anyway, go on. Sorry.
One question that I think as somebody with epilepsy as well, that really means a lot to me is how do you feel about artists stopping shows whenever whenever a fan is disabled in the crowd or becomes incapacitated? How that's become more common.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see that. I think it's you know, it's such a great thing to see that. We do it often. I feel like, was it when we were on Australia last summer? It seemed like every show, unfortunately, somebody was going down. There was like one show, I think we had 3 people go down, and this happened on Trinity of Terror tours as well. And we're all pretty good about spotting something. And what I love to see too is the audience members getting our attention. If somebody goes down, they're all very respectful. They're pointing like, "Hey, down, down, down," and like Andy will catch it, or one of us will, if Andy doesn't catch it, we catch it. And we're like, hey, 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 somebody's down, you know, all right, stop the show, everyone stop. We give each other a signal, and Andy will call out, hey, you know, give this person some space, let the paramedics through. You know, hopefully the venue is like well equipped to have, you know, whoever the paramedics to come in and do their job. And I've seen this more and more, and it's so great. People being more respectful of this situation and not being upset, you know. So I love to see that. I respect bands, performers who do this and set aside time, because that's so important. Last thing we want is anybody getting hurt or having an issue at a show. And you know, it's just the worst. As a performer, that's one of the worst things that you fear, is somebody getting hurt at your show. And a lot of times that you know, people are going nuts in the audience. That unfortunately that happens, and especially if there's like a mosh pit or circle pit. You know, everyone's got to look out for one another. But I love our fan base, like how everyone does seem to care about each other, and so I'm very, very happy to see that.
And we're gonna wrap up with the Trinity of Terror tour and your movie Inhabitant. How do you feel all 3 legs? If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time y'all have ever gone on 3 North American legs of one tour.
Yes, I have to say, well, it was a lot of fun for one. You know, all 3 of us bands, we all got along great. It was a great energy, great mix of fans. Everyone brought something special to the table. We did a rotation every night, and it was a lot of fun. That the rotation actually of the time slot you play was kind of a bit grueling at times, because there's no routine, and you kind of have to work your schedule through the day. But you know, we got over that. You got used to that. But yeah, I mean, I would say it was pretty grueling, because it was a lot of touring, but it was all, you know, North America, so familiar territory, and it was just a lot of fun. You know, we're doing arenas, and it just, yeah, we had a blast, and that was great. So to segue now to Inhabitant movie, so this is a project that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. It's a movie about something that happened to me when I was a kid, and when I was 6 going on 7, my family lived in a haunted house. That's the only way I know how to put it. Don't know what it was, but it was, I guess, what people say when their house is haunted. It was haunted. So it's something that terrified me then, still terrifies me now, and probably caused a lot of my anxiety and my trauma that I experienced, and may had a lot to do with triggers as well, my epilepsy. By making this film, I feel like I'm facing my fears and dealing with my trauma in a way that I'm hoping will be therapeutic. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. I met a film director. His name's Jocelyn Fauvelet, French-American film director. He's absolutely phenomenal. He just put out a feature called Shackled. It's on Amazon Prime. You should definitely check it out. It's so good, and this is what got me hooked with him. And so I'm working with him. Writer Blake Naspika is writing the script. But right now we're raising funds on Indiegogo. And we have a website that's inhabitantmovie.com. And if you go on there, we actually have an event, a live event that we're promoting on June 10th, where we're going to release live viewing of the trailer. And we're going to do a live Q&A after that we can participate in, and it's free. So sign up for that. But please, if you can, there's links to our Indiegogo. We're trying to raise funds to make the movie because it takes a lot of money to make a movie. So we're doing this indie style. We're doing this all ourselves. So yeah, if you can donate, that's great. And if you can't, just spread the word and visit the page anyway, inhabitantmovie.com. Just appreciate everyone's support. I really want to make this movie, and I feel like it's going to be something that'll help others too who have had a similar experience. I'm also going to be talking about my epilepsy as well, and so there'll be some undertones of that as well. Also, like undertones of childhood trauma and just anyone else who experienced these things. So hopefully it's going to be something that not only helps myself, but others as well. So please, if you have a chance to check it out, I really appreciate your support.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And thank you, Jinx, for doing this for us.
No, thank you, Sean, for having me.
It means the world that you would do this for
No, thank you
all
for...
of us.
I just want to say thank you for doing what you're doing. I fully support it. Thanks for reaching out to me, and I'm very happy to do this and anything else I can do to help. And again, I'm sorry to hear about your uncle.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope we can work together again soon.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch.